It didn't hurt at first. It felt like nothing changed. We still slept side by side, still said each other's names. But something in your touch was lighter than before, like you were already leaving while standing at the door. You smiled the same way, but it didn't reach your eyes. And I told myself I was just tired tonight. It didn't hurt at first. That's what scares me now. Love didn't shatter, it just quieted down. I didn't feel the break, I felt the space where we used to be. It didn't hurt at first, but it stayed with me. It's talked about our days like habits, not like hearts. I memorized your silence before I learned the parts. You said you needed time, I said I understood, but I was holding breath like I knew I shouldn't. I laughed when you joked, but I was counting pauses, trying to find the moment we stopped having reasons. It didn't hurt at first, it felt unreal, like loving you softly was safer than real. I didn't cry that night, I just stayed awake, listening to the sound of us drifting away. Maybe love doesn't end with a moment or a word. Maybe it fades so slowly, you forget you were hurt. I kept calling it distance, you were calling it calm, but I was already losing you in the quiet of your arms. It didn't hurt at first, but now I see pain doesn't always scream. Sometimes it leaves quietly. I didn't bleed, I just broke inside, trying to convince my heart we were still alive. It didn't hurt at first, but I felt it begin, like the start of a goodbye. I wasn't ready to be in. I've started feeling heavy, like it leaned on my chest. Every word took more effort, every kiss needed rest. You held me like a habit, not the way that you used to. I felt the weight between us every time I reached for you. We used to talk all night, now we just sit and scroll. I'm right here here beside you, but you feel so far from home. Love started feeling heavy, like I was loving alone. I carried all the feelings you left unspoken. It wasn't loud or violent, it didn't fall apart. It just got harder to breathe inside your arms. I stopped asking questions, 'cause I knew what you'd say. You needed space to think. I needed you to stay. So I learned how to swallow everything I felt, smiled through the silence, pretended I was well. You say you're just tired, but I know that look too well. It's the face you make when you're already halfway gone. Love started feeling heavy, like it wasn't meant to last. Like every moment with you was living in the past. I held on to memories you were learning to let go, and somewhere in between I felt myself grow cold. I would have carried the weight if you asked me to, but you never noticed what it was doing to me and you. I kept bending for balance. You stood perfectly still, and love turned into pressure. I didn't know how to feel. Love started feeling heavy, but I stayed anyway, hoping one day it would lift if I didn't complain. Now I know love isn't heavy when both hearts hold the same. It only hurts like this when one starts to walk off. Love started feeling heavy long before it was gone. I just didn't want to admit I've been holding it wrong. You still came home every night, still slept on your side of the bed, still asked me how my day was, still said the things you said. But your eyes were always somewhere I couldn't follow or see. You were standing right beside me, but never really with me. Your hands knew where to rest, but they didn't hold on tight. I felt you drifting farther, even when you said goodnight. You stayed, but not with me. You were here, but you were gone. I was loving your shadow while you were already moving on. You didn't leave the room, you just left the feeling. And I learned how lonely it is when someone stays but stops believing. you forgot why you came. I tried to pull you closer, you gave me polite affection, like love had turned into a careful obligation. You said nothing was wrong, but I felt it every day. You were choosing your silence over words you wouldn't say. You stayed, but not with me, not the way I needed you to. I was still choosing us while you were halfway through. You kissed me out of habit, not desire or belief, and I kept breaking quietly so you wouldn't see. There's a special kind of pain when goodbye never arrives, when you're slowly disappearing right in front of my eyes. I would have survived the truth if you just said you were done, but you stayed long enough to make me question everyone. You stayed, but not with me, and that hurt the most, 'cause I couldn't grieve someone who was still a ghost. You didn't walk away, you let me fight instead, and I'll always remember the way you stayed, but left. You stayed, but not with me. I began to feel alone while you were next to me. We shared the same small space, but not the same heartbeat. Your phone lit up your face more than my eyes could. I stopped reaching for your hand when I knew you wouldn't. We used to fill the silence, now it fills me instead. Every word I don't say lives louder in my head. I began to feel alone in a room meant for two, like loving you quietly was all I could do. I slept right beside you, but dreamed by myself. I was losing you slowly and losing myself. I talk less about my feelings, 'cause you stopped asking why. I learned how to hold my tears until I was alone at night. You said you needed peace, I became the quiet, the kind. I shrank myself to fit into a love that wouldn't try. You didn't push me away, you just stopped pulling me close, and that's how I learned what hurts the most. I began to feel alone, and I didn't know why. I was right here beside you, still learning how to cry. If love is a language we forgot how to speak, then maybe this silence was already defeat. I began to feel alone long before goodbye, and part of me knew we were running out of time. Your silence learned my name before your lips forgot. You used to tell me everything, now I don't know what you've got. I hear you breathing next to me, but you're somewhere else inside. And every unanswered question feels like another goodbye. You look at me like you're thinking, but never let me in. I keep waiting for a truth that you won't begin. Your silence learned my name, it knows me better now. It sits between us every night and doesn't make a sound. You don't say that you don't love me, you don't say that you do. And that's the kind of quiet I'm slowly losing too. I stopped asking how you feel, 'cause you say you're always fine. But I see it in your shoulders, in the way you pass the time. You answer with a sentence that doesn't mean a thing, and I read between the pauses to hear what you won't bring. I would rather hear a lie than be left here guessing, 'cause hope survives too long when silence keeps pretending. Your silence learned my name, it calls me every night, reminds me I'm still waiting for you to choose to fight. You don't raise your voice, you don't break my heart out loud. You just let the distance grow and watch me figure it out. Silence isn't empty when it's filled with things unsaid. It echoes in the spaces where we used to rest our heads. I try to read your face like I'm learning you again, but your silence is the only thing that still knows where I am. Your silence learned my name, and now it speaks for you. It tells me all the things you're too afraid to do. If love is still alive, it shouldn't hide this way. And I'm tired of translating everything you don't say. Silence learned my name and whispered what you couldn't. I just wish you'd said it before it broke me for good. I tried to be enough without asking what you needed. I learned your quiet moods like rules I had to read it. I softened all my edges so I wouldn't make you leave. I kept my voice at half volume so you'd stay and breathe. Every time you pulled away, I stepped a little closer. I carried all the questions you didn't want to answer. I tried to be enough for the both of us. I gave you all my patience when you gave me almost none. I changed the way I loved so you wouldn't feel the weight. I tried to be enough and lost myself that way. When you forgot my needs, I said I understood when you stopped choosing me. I dressed my sadness nicely so you wouldn't see the seams. I convinced myself this is just what loving means. I thought if I stayed quiet, you might finally stay. But love shouldn't feel like something you beg to save. I try to be enough, I try to be your peace. I became so easy to love, you barely noticed me. I swallowed all my hurt just to keep you safe. I try to be enough, but you still walked away. Love shouldn't ask you to disappear inside, to fold yourself smaller just to keep someone's light. If being enough means losing everything I am, then maybe loving you was never in my hands. I tried to be enough, but enough was never me. You were already leaving, I was still learning how to be. I gave you all I had, even when it wasn't fair. I tried to be enough, but you weren't leaving. I tried to be enough till I didn't know my name. Now I'm standing in the mirror, trying to feel whole again. The night felt different somehow, even the air was thin. You held me like you always did, but I felt the space slip in. Your heartbeat wasn't rushing, it sounded far away, like it didn't recognize the place it used to stay. You said you were just tired, but I felt it in your touch. The way you turned away from me without saying much. That was the night I felt you leave. Even though you stayed, your arms were wrapped around me, but your heart had slipped away. I didn't hear a goodbye, didn't hear you say my name, but something in me broke the night I felt you leave. We laid there in the darkness like strangers sharing skin. I counted all the reasons you weren't letting me in. You faced the other direction, and I stared at the wall, listening to my breathing, trying not to fall. I wanted to ask you, but I was too afraid that if I heard the truth, I wouldn't make it through the day. That was the night I felt you leave without a single sound. Love didn't end with screaming, it just stopped reaching out. I held on to the moment like it could make you stay, but you were already gone the night I felt you leave. There are goodbyes you hear and goodbyes you feel. This one lived in the quiet, this one felt too real. I kept my eyes wide open so I wouldn't miss the sign, but losing you still caught me in the middle of the night. That was the night I felt you leave, and I didn't sleep at all. I stayed awake beside you while our love began to fall. You didn't close the door, you didn't pack your things, you just stopped choosing me and let the silence sing. That was the night I felt you leave before you ever went, and every night since then I've been replaying it. We loved in half sentences, never finished what we meant. You'd start a thought and stop it there, like honesty was spent. We talked around the truth, like it might disappear if we never said it out loud. Maybe it wouldn't be real. I learned to read your pauses more than your words. You spoke in quiet distances. I tried not to get hurt. We loved in half sentences, left the rest unsaid. I filled in all the silence with things inside my head. You said just enough to keep me believing, but love can't survive on half of a feeling. You'd say we're fine so softly, like you weren't sure it's true. I'd nod like I believed it, 'cause I didn't want to lose you. Every maybe later, every we'll see, built a wall of unfinished words between you and me. I wanted full confessions, you offered fragments instead, and I kept translating what you never said. We loved in half sentences, never full or clear. I waited for the ending, you refused to hear. You held back every truth, like it would set you free. But all it did was break what was left of me. There's a cruelty in almost, in things that never left, in promises half spoken and never fully planned. I would have faced the truth if you gave me the chance, but you left me guessing while you slowly erased. We loved in half sentences and called it being kind, but love deserves the courage to speak what's on your mind. You kept your words unfinished so you wouldn't feel the blame, and I carried all the unknowns you were too afraid to name. We loved in half sentences, and that's how it fell apart, not with the final word, but a fractured heart. I held on too softly, like love might bruise if I tried. I whispered all my needs so I wouldn't start a fight. I thought if I was gentle, you'd feel safe enough to stay. But maybe I made it easy for you to drift away. I chose understanding when I needed to be heard. I wrapped my pain in patience and swallowed every word. I held on too softly, afraid I'd break us apart. I protected your feelings while you misplaced my heart. I loved you without pressure, without asking you to choose. And maybe loving you quietly is how I learned to lose. I never raised my voice, never asked you to explain. I thought silence was strength, but it just fed the pain. You needed to feel wanted, I needed you to fight, but I kept all my fears out of sight. I thought love meant giving until there's nothing left. I didn't know the kindness could sound so much never stayed. I held on too softly, and you slipped through my hands. I thought love would save us if I tried to understand. But love needs honesty, not silence dressed as grace. And I lost you slowly by giving you space. I held on too softly. Now my hands are empty still. If loving you was quiet, letting go is quieter. Something between us broke. I felt it in your tone, the way you said my name, like it didn't feel like home. We laughed at all the same jokes, but it sounded out of place, like we were just pretending we hadn't changed. You looked right through me, like you already knew this wasn't love anymore, just something we were used to. Something between us broke, and it didn't make a sound. No slam doors, no shouting, just pieces on the ground. We didn't fall apart, we just came undone. And I knew there was no fixing what we'd become. We touched without intention, held hands without a spark. I memorized the distance between your heart and mine. You said it's just a phase, but you didn't sound convinced. And I felt the truth arrive before your lips did. I kept waiting for a sign that you'd fight for us again, but your eyes were already looking for a different end. Something between us broke, and we both found the crack. We just didn't say it, 'cause there was no going back. You stopped asking questions, I stopped asking why. And that's when I realized we were already goodbye. It's strange how love can break without a final scene. No villain, no mistake, just two people quietly leaving. I would have faced the truth if you said it out loud, but silence was easier for you, not for us. Something between us broke, and I stopped holding on. I felt the weight lift slightly when I knew you were gone. We didn't end with anger or tears that overflow, just the understanding that we weren't us anymore. Something between us broke, and even now I know some things don't need closure. so gently, like you practiced every line. Your hands were shaking softly, but my heart was already fine. I watched your lips start moving, heard the words you chose, but the truth arrived much earlier than you'll ever know. I've been preparing for this moment long before tonight. I've been grieving us in silence while you were still deciding. I knew before you said it, before you said my name, before you tried to soften what you couldn't change. I felt it in your distance, in every almost touch. So when you finally told me, it didn't hurt that much. You said you didn't mean to, you said you still cared. You said you hoped I'd understand, like I hadn't been there. I nodded at the right times, played the part you needed me to play, but inside I was already walking the other way. I wasn't shocked or angry, I didn't fall apart. I'd been living with this ending in the corners of my heart. I knew before you said it, before the tears appeared, before the goodbye landed, I was already here. I spent so many nights learning how to let it go. So when the truth arrived, it felt familiar, not cold. There's a strange kind of mercy in knowing before it ends. It gives your heart time to say goodbye in advance. I loved you past the moment you stopped choosing me. So when you said the words, I was finally free. I knew before you said it, and I wish you knew too. I didn't stop loving suddenly, I just stopped fighting you. You thought you were breaking me, but I'd already healed a part by listening to what you didn't say from the start. I knew before you said it, now I'm ready to leave. Not because I stopped loving you, but because I chose me. I remember love felt like breathing without trying. We laughed in open windows before the door started closing quietly. Somewhere between holding on and letting things slide. Love stopped lifting me up and started pulling me inside. I told myself it was normal, that love changes shape, but deep down I knew this wasn't just growing pains. That's when love began to weigh on my chest, on my mind. Every word felt heavier, every moment behind. I carried all the feelings you didn't want to face. That's when love began to weigh. I stopped dreaming out loud in case it scared you away. I learned how to be smaller so we wouldn't break. You said nothing was wrong, I said nothing too, and that's how we both pretended we didn't know the truth. Love shouldn't feel like pressure, like something you endure, but I stayed and called it patience when I wasn't sure. That's when love began to weigh. Every night in our bed I replayed all the moments we left unsaid. I loved you with my whole heart, you loved me with your space, and that's when love began to weigh. Maybe love doesn't disappear, it just asks to be seen. And when it's ignored too long, it turns quiet and mean. I don't blame you for leaving, I don't blame myself for staying. I just wish we noticed sooner when love began to wait. That's when love began to wait, and I finally let it fall. I put the weight back in your hands, I couldn't hold it all. Loving you taught me what love shouldn't be, and even though it hurts, I'm learning how to breathe. That's when love began to wait, and I laid it down. This isn't the end of my story, just the end of us now. The silence you left me in is louder than I expected. The room still knows your footsteps like it hasn't quite accepted. I sleep on half the mattress, like you might come back home, but the quiet says your name in a voice I can't ignore. I thought losing you would sound like crying on the floor, but it sounds like the fridge at night and an unopened door. The silence you left me in feels heavier than words. It sits beside me every night, repeating what I heard. You didn't leave a letter, you didn't leave a fight, you just left me with the quiet and too much time. I reach for my phone sometimes, like I forgot we're through. Then I remember I can't text the version of you I knew. Your jacket's still on the chair. I don't know why it stays. Maybe I'm not ready to pack the ache away. They say time heals everything, but time just makes it clear. You were my everyday, now you're just everywhere. The silence you left me in echoes through my chest. I'd rather hear you say goodbye than guess at what's left. You took your voice, your laughter, you took the nights we shared and left me with a quiet that still feels unfair. There's a strange kind of morning when no one sees you cry, when the world keeps moving and you're stuck in goodbye. I'm learning how to sit with it, not fight or pretend that the silence you left me in is where healing begins. The silence you left me in is slowly teaching me that love doesn't end loudly, it just sets you free. I don't hate the quiet, I'm just learning how to stay in the space you left behind until I'm okay. The silence you left me in is still no star, but maybe one day it won't hurt at all. I slept on your side anyway, even though it felt wrong. The pillow still smells like you haven't been gone that long. I told myself it didn't matter, that it's just another place, but my body hasn't learned yet how to forget your shame. I reached across the mattress, half asleep, half afraid. For a second I forgot why the bed feels this way. I slept on your side anyway, like you might come back home, like the space you left behind wasn't empty, just alone. And no, it doesn't change a thing, I know it's not okay, but I slept on your side anyway. I still set 2 alarms, even though there's just me. I still turn the lights down low at the time you like to sleep. I talk to you in my head like you're just in the next room. Then the quiet answers back and reminds me we're through. They say habits fade with time, but some just learn to ache. And every night I lie down is another small mistake. I slept on your side anyway, even though I knew that the warmth I'm not trying to hold on, I'm just not ready to let go. Some nights the loneliness is louder when I'm alone. I slept on your side anyway, and I cried just a bit. Not because I miss you, but because I still fit. One day I'll move back over, one day I'll be okay. But tonight I need the comfort of your side anyway. I slept on your side anyway, just to feel something familiar before I learn how to sleep alone. Memories don't ask permission, they show up when they want. In grocery store aisles, in songs I forgot. Your life lives in strangers, your name in the rain. I can't control the moments that still feel the same. I thought I was doing better, I almost believed it too. Then a smell, a sound, a second turned everything back to you. Memories don't ask permission, they don't check if I'm okay. They just crash into my chest on the most ordinary days. I don't invite them in, I don't know how to say no. Memories don't ask permission, they just show. I walk past all our places like they don't recognize me, but every corner whispers who I used to be. I'm learning how to breathe again, learning how to pretend that the past doesn't follow me like a friend. I packed away your letters, I cleared you from my phone. But some things don't live in boxes, some things still feel like home. Memories don't ask permission, they don't wait their turn. They remind me of the fire and the way I got burned. I'm trying not to linger, trying to let go. But memories don't ask permission, they just show. Healing isn't linear, it doesn't move on cue. Some days I feel like myself, some days I'm back with you. I don't want to relive it, I don't want to stay. But my heart doesn't listen when my mind says walk away. Memories don't ask permission, they don't fade on demand. They show me who I was before I learned how to stand. I'm not weak for remembering, I'm just human, I suppose. Memories don't ask permission, they just show. Memories don't ask permission, but I'm learning not to fight. If they're part of healing, I'll let them pass tonight. I talk to you in my head, like you were still around, like you'd answer the questions I never wrote down. I told you about my day, about the little things. Then I remembered you're gone, and it stings. I still explain myself like you're listening somewhere, like losing you didn't mean losing your care. I talk to you in my head when the nights got too long, said the words I held back when we were still holding on. You never talked back, but somehow I knew what you would have said when I talked to you. I argued with your silence, I laughed at old jokes, I imagined your voice every time I broke. I said you'd love this song, then caught myself again, grieving the habit of calling you my friend. They say it's unhealthy, but it feels like release, like my heart needs closure, even if you don't hear me. I talk to you in my head when I didn't know what else to do. I wasn't asking you back, I was saying goodbye to you. I needed somewhere to place all the love I couldn't send, so I talk to you in my head. Maybe this is how letting go starts, not with silence, not with tears, but with conversations that fade over years. I don't need answers, I don't need you to stay. I just needed to hear myself say your name one last way. I talked to you in my head until it hurt a little less, until your voice stopped echoing inside my chest. One day I won't need this, one day I'll forget, but tonight I still talk to you in my head. I talk to you in my head, and for a moment I was okay. Then the quiet came back, and I let it stay. Grief comes in waves, I didn't see them arrive. Some days I'm standing steady, some days I barely survive. I can be fine in the morning, laugh like nothing's wrong, then a memory pulls me under by the afternoon. I stopped asking when it ends, I stopped counting the days. I'm learning how to flow when I can't escape. Grief comes in waves, it knocks the air from my chest. I don't drown every time, but I never know what's next. I thought healing was straight lines, I thought pain would behave, but I'm to borrow your pictures, put them somewhere safe, but my heart still finds you in the smallest mistakes. I pass by people smiling, living life unafraid, and I wonder how the world didn't stop when you went away. They say time makes it easier, I think it makes it honest. You don't forget the ocean, you just learn its promise. Grief comes in waves, some soft, some wild. Some leave me standing, some take a while. I don't fight the water, I don't curse the tide, I just hold on to myself and let it pass by. There's no warning sign, no rhythm I can learn, just moments that collapse, then quietly return. I'm not broken for hurting, I'm not weak for the pain, I'm just loving someone I can't hold again. Grief comes in waves, but I'm still here, still learning how to stand when the shoreline disappears. I won't rush the healing, I won't run away, I'll let myself feel it and survive each wave. Grief comes in waves, comes in life, I let it stay. I know the water will come, just not today. Your name still opens doors I thought I'd close for good. I hear it in a crowded room, and I'm misunderstood. My heart still turns its head before my mind can say that loving you is something I don't do anymore. I've built these walls so carefully, brick by pain, but one familiar sound and I'm standing there again. Your name still opens doors I swore were locked and sealed. It pulls me back to moments I was sure I had healed. I don't go looking for you, I don't ask for the past, but your name still opens doors I wasn't ready to last. I'm doing better most days, I've learned my way around, but then your name shows up and the floor forgets the ground. It reminds me how I love without a second thought, how some doors don't close quietly, no matter how you're taught. I don't miss who you are now, I miss who I not ashamed of that, even if it shows. Your name still opens doors, but I'm learning how to leave. I don't need to walk through them to know what they mean. Some doors taught me everything, even the ones that close. Your name still opens doors, but I don't live there anymore. Your name still opens doors, just not the ones I call home. I'm walking past them slowly, learning how to move on. I learned how to breathe alone after holding my breath so long, waiting for you to choose me, waiting for something to wrong. The quiet doesn't scare me now, it just feels different in my chest, like space I never noticed when I was loving you instead. I used to measure every moment by where you were. Now I wake up in the morning, I'm okay first. I learned how to breathe alone without reaching for your hand. I don't fall apart at night the way I once had planned. I still miss you sometimes, but I'm not losing air. I learned how to breathe alone, and I'm still here. I cook for one and leave the lights on. I fill the silence with my name. I don't replay every ending, I don't carry all the blame. I'm learning how to sit with myself without needing someone near. Turns out I'm stronger than I thought when I face my fears. I loved you, everything. I don't regret the cost, but I won't keep suffocating for something I already lost. Some nights I miss the pain, and I hate myself for it. I miss the way it proved that loving you was real. The quiet feels so empty without something to fight. I never thought I'd miss what kept me up at night. Healing feels like letting go of the last thing we shared. Even if it hurt me, at least you were there. Some nights I miss the pain, 'cause it meant you were close. It meant I still mattered, even when I was broke. I don't want you back, I just miss the proof that my heart was still beating for you. I look back at the worst days like they had something kind. At least I knew what I felt, at least you were mine. Now I wake up peaceful, and it scares me instead, like I lost part of myself when the hurting left. I know this feeling passes, I know it's just a phase, but missing the pain feels easier than change. Some nights I miss the pain, the ache I understood. It wrapped around my heart like nothing else could. I don't wanna relive it, I don't want the cost. I just miss the reminder of what I lost. Pain was familiar, it knew my name. It filled the space where love once stayed. Now healing feels quiet, almost unreal, and I don't always know how to sit with what's healed. Some nights I miss the pain, but I don't stay there long. I remind myself gently why we were wrong. If missing the pain is part of letting go, then I'll feel it fully and let it go Some nights I miss the pain, then I breathe and let it fade. It's not love I'm missing, it's the way I used to ache. I loved you longer than you stayed, longer than you tried, longer than the moment you stopped meeting my eyes. I kept choosing us when you were choosing space. I loved you past the point you quietly changed. I don't blame you for leaving, you did what you could do, but loving me was something you didn't want to choose. I loved you longer than you stayed, and that's okay. Not every heart leaves at the same same pace. I don't regret the time, I don't regret the cost. I loved you longer than you stayed, and that's what it was. I held the door open while you walked halfway through. I kept explaining your silence like I knew the truth. You said you needed freedom, I needed honesty, and somewhere in between you let go of me. I wasn't too much, you were just less involved. We didn't fail loudly, we just dissolved. I loved you longer than you stayed. With open hands, I gave you more grace than you could understand. I don't need apologies, I don't need you to explain. I loved you longer than you stayed. There's no competition in who hurt the most, just two people loving from different coasts. I don't hate you for leaving, I don't blame myself for staying. Love doesn't always leave together, it just stops waiting. I loved you longer than you stayed, and I've made peace with the part of me that wouldn't leave. Some loves are lessons, some loves are scars. I loved you longer than you stayed, and I still have my heart. I love you longer than you stayed. Now I'm letting go with grace, not because it didn't matter, not because it did. Healing isn't quiet like they told me it would be. It's loud in all the places you used to live in me. Some days I'm fine at breakfast, some nights I break apart. I didn't lose my feelings, I just learned where they are. They say time makes it gentle, they don't say it gets real. That healing shakes the walls before it lets you feel. Healing isn't quiet, it cracks before it bends. It drags old wounds into the light just to end them. I cry for no reason, I laugh too hard. Healing isn't quiet, but it's honest with my heart. I started saying your name without holding my breath. I stopped pretending I'm fine and let myself rest. I don't numb the feelings, I don't run away. I sit with every memory until it fades. shaking. I'm not weak for the noise. I'm just learning to trust my own voice. Healing isn't quiet. It doesn't move in lines. It falls apart in public, then rebuilds in time. I don't need to rush it. I don't need to recite it. Healing isn't quiet, but it's mine. If pain was love's echo, then healing is release. It doesn't ask permission, it just asks me to breathe. I'm not who I was then, I'm not who I'll be, but I'm closer to myself than I used to be. Finding isn't quiet, and that's okay. I don't need to hide it or push it away. If growing hurts sometimes, then I'll feel it through. Healing isn't quiet, but it's true. Healing isn't quiet, but I'm not afraid. I'm finally listening to what my heart says. I'm softer than I was before, but not the way you think. I don't flinch at every memory, I don't drown when I sink. I used to wear my armor like I needed to fight. Now I let myself feel, and that's how I survived. I thought strength meant standing still, never letting it show. Now I know strength is staying open, even after the blow. I'm softer, but I survive. Every night I thought I wouldn't, I didn't close my heart. I just learned how to protect it. I still believe in love, I still let myself cry. I'm softer, but I survived. I stopped blaming myself for loving you that way, for staying a little longer, for hoping you'd stay. I don't regret my tenderness, it wasn't a mistake. It's proof I love fully, and that's my strength. I don't need to be harder to make it through. I don't need to change my heart to outgrow you. I'm softer, but I survived the weight of what we lost. I didn't turn bitter, I just counted the cost. I still trust my feelings, I still reach for the light. and that's something true. I'm softer, but I survived, and I like who I became. I carry what I learned, not the blame. I don't need to forget you to finally be alive. I'm softer, but I survived. I'm softer than before, and that's my pride. I didn't disappear, I survived. I don't look for you in crowds the way I used to do. I don't measure every silence by the shape of you. Love carved its lessons deep into my days. I'm not the same woman I was yesterday. I didn't come out fearless, I didn't come out clean. I came out honest about what love means. After love learned my shape, I learned how to stand with my heart still open, but my feet in my hands. I don't shrink for affection, I don't beg to be chosen. After love learned my shape, I became my own home. I still remember your voice, but it doesn't pull me back. It's just a chapter now, not the life I lack. I carry what mattered, I release what hurt. I finally understand what I deserve. Love didn't ruin me, it revealed my core. It showed me what I give and what I won't ignore. After love learned my shape, I stopped breaking in two. I don't disappear to be loved by you. I don't fear the ending, I don't chase the stars. After love learned my shape, I trusted my heart. Some love leaves softly, some leave scars. This one left wisdom and a stronger heart. I won't rewrite the story, I won't erase the pain, 'cause every part of loving let me hear again. After love learned my shape, I walk forward slow with everything I felt and everything I know. I'm not afraid of loving, I'm not afraid of change. After love learned my shape, I remained. After love learned my shape, I didn't lose my way, I just learned who I am and chose to stay.